About 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was born. Over time, the planet changed to be the planet we know now, glowing peacefully in space. But underneath that luminescent exterior lies a growing crisis on the global scale. It is climate change. The question arises, how does climate change affect us? Believe it or not, it affects us in more ways than we are aware of. Climate change, in essence, is the planet's overall change of climate conditions over time. But it's not the fact that change is happening that worries scientists. It's also the rate at which climate is changing. Rates of global change are happening faster than life can keep up with. The IPCC has reported that a majority of the Earth's temperature has increased about 0.2 to 1 degrees centigrade from 1970 to 2004 in its fourth assessment report. Climate change is caused in part by greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, increasing concentrations in the atmosphere and trapping heat in Earth. Carbon dioxide emissions increased from 280 parts per million during pre-industrial revolution times to a present-day level of 389 parts per million according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. This is causing radical shifts such as droughts, or extreme rainfalls, and abnormal increases and decreases in ecosystems that happen too quickly for the local organisms to adapt. At the rate that Earth is changing, we could be seeing a very dangerous tipping point. A tipping point is when a series of small events trigger an irreversible event. That irreversible event includes mass extinction, an occurrence in which one keystone species extinction causes a chain of other species to go extinct. Take the western pine bark beetle, for instance. The increase in global temperatures has allowed for the species of beetle to increase immensely in population. These beetles then go about destroying trees by burrowing into them and laying eggs in them. Less trees means less of a carbon sink, and thus further increasing carbon dioxide levels. In the Jurassic to Triassic period, a rise in carbon dioxide levels could have been the potential cause of mass extinction. The levels increased from 600 parts per million to about 2,100 to 2,400 parts per million in 104 million years. That's an average of 1.5 times 10 to the negative 5 parts per million per year. NOAA reports that over the past 40 years, Earth's carbon dioxide levels have increased exponentially with an average increase of 1.5 parts per million per year. These rates dangerously exceed these carbon dioxide rates in comparison to the Jurassic-Triassic period, which definitely warrants attention. Today, we are regularly burning fossil fuels, whether by driving our car or excessively using electricity. The emissions from these seemingly harmless actions are filtering into the air and increasing greenhouse effects. Glaciers in New Zealand have receded about 3 kilometers since the 1800s. Climate change has altered atmospheric movements, or wind trends, thus changing the path of the young walleye pollock to travel away from their parents. Their new locations have changed the populations of marine mammals and affected birds that rely on them as food, thus forcing their predators to find other food sources or starve. Some predictions of extinction rates of amphibians are even expected to be up to 215 times greater than ever recorded. Sooner or later, the small changes such as vernal pools drying up, rapid changes in rainfall amounts, and melting ice caps will drive us to a tipping point that will cause a mass extinction. So, what can we do? Do we just let this issue continue? Or do we take action to save our planet? Stabilizing our carbon cycle by reducing fossil fuel emissions is a good step. Perhaps research into alternative clean energy could help tip the scales and steer mankind into a clearer and less smoggy future. The future of our planet lies in the hands of humans, and only time will tell.